Today on New England Living, we'll introduce you to one of the most unique and exclusive dining experiences in the world. Private dining inside the top of a lighthouse tower. Plus, award-winning celebrity chef Carl Dooley teaches us how to create a simple and elegant seafood dish you can create at home. And our design experts offer up some tips on the latest home trends, from the many benefits of daylighting to open concept living at a Rhode Island residence with ties to one of American history's most infamous figures. It all starts right now on New England Living. New England has a style all its own. The people, the history, the culture. Join us as we discover the faces and places, the design and destinations, everyone and everything that makes New England extraordinary.
This is getting a little spicy.
Love the place you call home with New England Living. The lighthouse is one of the most iconic symbols of our region. In New England alone, there's close to 200 of them, but none are quite as unique as this one. It's time to update your bucket list for one of the most romantic and exclusive experiences in the world. Private dining on top of a lighthouse filled with history. And it happens right here at the Rear Range Light in Newburyport. Jay Highland is the president and founder of the Lighthouse Preservation Society.
This is the best view in town. This is a one of a kind as far as we know. We don't know anywhere else in the world where you can actually dine at the top of a lighthouse tower.
And what's very cool about this is you're actually the one that came up with that idea.
It was basically a pilot project to show what could be done with an abandoned lighthouse tower.
Built in 1873, this lighthouse is actually a range light, which were once commonly used to navigate narrow channels.
And so they always operated in tandem. There'd be two towers. Usually one was tall and one was short. And the whole idea was when you were coming in, you'd line them up, kind of like, the sights on a gun. And you want to make sure that one was directly over the other. And when you had that configuration, then you knew you were in the channel correctly.
And while this lighthouse doesn't have its own kitchen, they partner with several local Newburyport restaurants to supply food for their guests.
So we'll present you with the menu from the restaurant you've chosen ahead of time when you come here. And really, at that point, it's just like a regular restaurant experience.
Ted Epstein, owner of Loretta, has been in the restaurant business for decades, but now calls Newburyport his home.
Ted is from New York City, so he really knows what he's doing. And when he came here, he really kind of took the downtown by storm, and he's really a great guy to be involved with us.
We've been working with the Lighthouse for more than 5 years now, and being known as one of the finer restaurants in Newburyport, they've been getting many requests for our food to be served there.
So your menu, it has a little bit of everything, but is it safe to say that seafood is the top seller here in Newburyport?
Well, certainly seafood is the top seller because that's what people are looking for when they come to Newburyport, and they are not disappointed with the quality of fish that we have here every day.
So the seafood risotto, we've heard a lot about this dish. It's gotten rave reviews. Tell us what it is.
Well, the seafood risotto is a fresh lobster tail, scallops, shrimp, and a terrific sauce.
Jay Racky is a Newburyport native and head chef at Loretta.
Jay really excels at soups and sauces, and besides the really fresh seafood, that's what really finishes the dish in a really nice way.
First, I'm going to sear the scallops and a couple of shrimp. Just going to sear them for a couple of minutes, or a minute or so, and then I'm going to add some garlic and shallots, a little tomato for the sauce, and then I'm going to add some mussels. And we always cheat with a little bit of garlic butter, lobster tail, and just some fresh picked lobster. We like to put the creamy risotto down first with the scallops and the shrimp and the lobster, and then we surround it with the mussels. And now we're going to just grate some cheese to put on top. A little bit of fresh lemon zest, which kind of brightens it up a little bit. Microgreens and some olive oil. And that is our seafood risotto. Order up.
How many stairs do they have to climb?
There's 72, and then once you get up to the very top, it's a vertical ladder.
Okay.
And everyone always pauses, and the question everyone always asks me is, it's at least 8 times up and down.
Wow, so
Yeah.
you get your steps in definitely with this job. Now, how many different restaurants can people choose from?
There's 6 different restaurants here in Newburyport that they can choose from. There's like a steakhouse, and there's a seafood restaurant, and a Thai restaurant, and we also do breakfast and lunch.
What does Jay mean to this lighthouse? Because this was his idea.
Oh, totally. So he's all about preserving lighthouses. That's, you know, he's gone before Congress, and the dining thing was just a way to get capital so that he could save the lighthouses all up and down the East Coast. Everyone's always in such a good mood and happy to be there, so it's definitely a feel-good job.
The history of it is really interesting. It's very rustic. The people there are great people, and the guests that go there are really excited to go there because, again, it's a very unique experience.
It really is, and it really makes me feel so good. I mean, when people really enjoy their time up here, I mean, it's a memorable experience. It's just such a special place, and it's always fun to be part of that.
It's time now to go around New England for a look at some other noteworthy lighthouses that are definitely worth the visit. Built in 1771, Portsmouth Harbor Lighthouse in Newcastle, New Hampshire, was originally one of the first 12 colonial lighthouses built in America and was once inspected by George Washington. Just a short ride north in York, Maine is the famous Cape Nettic Nubble Lighthouse, one of the most photographed lighthouses in New England. Its image was sent into space on the Voyager 1 spacecraft in 1977 as part of a representation of human civilization. Further north in Port Clyde, Maine is the charming Marshall Point Lighthouse with its famously long walkway. It also served as the final destination of Tom Hanks' Run Across America in the movie Forrest Gump. In Shelburne, Vermont, Colchester Reef Light is best known as New England's West Coast Lighthouse, originally built to warn ships away from the dangerous shoals off Lake Champlain's Colchester Point. One of the most unusual lighthouses in America, the cube-shaped New London Ledge Lighthouse reportedly owes its unique design to local residents who wanted a structure that would fit in the style of their own home. It also boasts a legendarily haunted past. Rhode Island's Block Island North Light, located on Sandy Point, also vaunts a one-of-a-kind design and history. Its original keeper was appointed by Abraham Lincoln in 1867 to help promote the island as an upscale Victorian resort. And initially built in 1716, Boston Light on Massachusetts' Little Brewster Island is the oldest lighthouse in North America. It was completely destroyed by British forces at the end of the American Revolution and later rebuilt in 1783. For more notable places around New England, visit cbsboston.com/New England Living. It's time now to check out a breathtaking property with a truly unique history as design expert David Andriozzi shows us how open concept living can transform any home. We're in Middletown, Rhode Island at the Boothton Estate, named after its original owner Edwin Booth in 1883. One of the greatest actors of his generation and brother of the infamous John Wilkes Booth.
Welcome to Boothton.
Having restored this sprawling estate to its former glory, architect David Andriozzi prides himself on the fundamentals of good design.
To me, good design is relating to people and culture and history, and that's what sort of makes my architecture unique.
And according to David, it all comes down to creating an open concept.
Open space is everything about good design. Traditionally, in the old days, the hearth would provide the fire, the food, the heat for you to live, especially in New England. Nowadays, the hearth is really the combination of the kitchen and the breakfast area and the family room. That's where everyone lives. Even to the point is that when houses start to get more modern and smaller, in some cases the dining room and the living rooms are actually being pushed away and not part of the design. This relationship between these spaces is the most important part of the entire home. Today's living, and for the last 2 or 3 decades, is all about opening spaces to spaces, rooms to rooms, and I like to say inside rooms to outside rooms, so locking in the interior architecture to the landscape architecture, because those are rooms out there and they need to all tie together. You need to think beyond just the room you're in, and it's all about openness. It's free plan. It's not about one particular room. I think it's really useful for people to think about, how can I bring other parts of my house, the outside of my house, inside? Think about the fundamentals of what's unique about the materials around me that can connect it and make it my own and make it unique to the site that they're working on. You need to be thinking about, in some cases, what ties you into your local vernacular, your local building materials, and your local labor. The fireplace is really designed to connect to the landscape. The stone walls are the exact stone wall pattern that's being used throughout the entire property. One of the unique things about today's modern appliances, it gives you the ability to actually create furniture and custom design around them. In this case, we've taken a design that's based on something that's been around, completely enveloped to the refrigerator and freezer, but then came with a local artisan to come up with custom handles that were made locally to really make it their own. So as you enter the master bedroom, what we tried to do is create as much height as possible. And then we did something totally unique in that we created a ceiling of glass that actually brings all of the light for the bedroom down. Part of the reason that we work with the stained glass, and the same reason we work with our craftspeople, is that we're always looking to bring local craftspeople into our project. And that's supporting the arts, that's being patrons of the arts. Part of custom design, whether it be architecture or interior design, is to really give people things that are unique to their own life. And one thing could be a wine cellar, which we provided downstairs. So come down, let me show you what's unique in this house. So what we did, you'll see a lot in Italy and France, is create a little area outside the wine cellar where we can sit down and have the cheese and the charcuterie and entertain, but have a direct connection through this custom stained glass door into the wine cellar itself. This is another example where you take a single item in a large room and you try and bond it back to the clients. And we just tried to recreate something using local artists. And you can make something that's your own. And you can do that. It doesn't have to be a whole door or a whole piece of stained glass. And those are the things that make your house your own home.
Coming up after the break, acclaimed chef and Boston native Carl Dooley shows us how to kick up your next dinner with a spicy seafood recipe you're going to love. That's next when New England Living returns.
We are here at the Clark Sub-Zero and Wolf Test Kitchen, and I am joined by Carl Dooley. Thank you so much for joining us.
I'm psyched to be here. It's gonna be awesome. We're gonna make some tasty food.
Ooh, I love it. And I see mussels. This is great because mussels are such a staple of New England, but you have a little twist on them here today.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is like a kind of familiar like sausage and mussel stew that we've spiced up with some North African ingredients to kind of take it over the top.
And I only see one pot, so it looks like we're all just making this right in here.
Yeah, and that's the way to do it. I mean, when I cook at home, it's like I try to cook everything in pretty much this pot. It's great. I can feed my family with it, or a few friends. And really, when you're cooking at home, spend the time getting everything set up, and then just make it all in one pot. It's gonna taste better, and it's gonna be less cleanup as well.
And you mentioned the local ingredients. I'm guessing you found these mussels somewhere in New England.
Exactly, so we have local mussels. We also have some sausage here using local pork.
This is getting a little spicy.
Oh yeah, it's great. This is a quick dish, start to finish.
So how long will this take to make?
So really it'll take about 7-8 minutes start to finish. So we have the mussels, some of our chorizo. These are some garbanzo beans that we've added in here. Some pickled peppers. So once it's at this stage, we got the sausage, the mussels, the peppers, a little bit of harissa, which is a North African spice. We're just gonna cover this up here. This is gonna cook for a few minutes, and then we're gonna serve it up.
Okay, so while this is cooking, some people watching this, they may recognize you from Top Chef. What was that experience like?
Fantastic, yeah, it was great. I mean, it was such a great opportunity to work with just super talented chefs from all over the country, chefs who I now call friends. It was pretty cool.
Well, it's smelling pretty good. How are we looking?
This looks great. So yeah, once the mussels open up like this, you're in the zone.
Okay.
So we got our, chorizo in there, and the mussels and the peppers, and then we're just gonna add some little flavor bombs on the top here. So we have just some lime juice. This is some preserved lemon to kind of tie it back into our North African flavors that we started with earlier.
And Carl, is it weird to call this a pretty dish because there's so many colors here, and it is really pretty?
Well, thank you. Yeah, no, I think we're always shooting for delicious, and then pretty doesn't hurt either.
This
So
looks
is great.
great.
Some fresh herbs, cilantro and basil on top. I don't know. I think it's gonna be pretty good.
Are we ready?
Let's do it.
I've been waiting for this moment. Here you are, sir.
Thank you. It's gonna be hot.
Okay. That is good. It's spicy, but not too spicy.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's great. You get the complexity from the smoked sausage, and then the mussels gives you that awesome brininess, and then definitely the preserved lemon and the pickled peppers in there kind of elevate the whole dish.
This is awesome, and
Cool.
you can actually find this recipe if you go to our website, cbsboston.com/New England Living. Thank you so much.
You crushed it.
Awesome. I'm gonna have some more.
Coming up next, it's all about daylighting. Architect J.B. Clancy shows us how to harness the power of the sun to add a unique perspective to your home. So don't go away. New England Living will be right back.
Being in the sun just makes you feel good, and it's free. But you don't have to be outdoors to enjoy it. Architect J.B. Clancy shows us some easy ways to bring the outside inside through the benefit of daylighting.
My most favorite spaces, they're light-filled. That light comes mostly through light from the sun and the sky. Daylighting adds a real richness to an interior. It creates a connection between the indoor and the outdoor environment, and it provides a greater sense of well-being.
When it comes to the basics of daylighting, just follow the sun.
The sun rises in the east and sets in the west, and we can determine during the day exactly where that sun will be. So we like to position our houses to orient toward the path of the sun. This particular house, we were able to actually create a courtyard and have that whole courtyard orient to the south, therefore almost creating a light scoop and capturing sunlight almost throughout the entire day. You can see we put the window head heights probably about almost a foot to a foot and a half higher than a conventional window that you might find in your own house. And by looking out the window from where I'm standing, the top of the window, all I see is sky and the sun. And that's one of the advantages of having a tall window head height, is it really draws that light in from the sun and the sky.
So, how can you harness the power of daylight in your home?
As long as you can find, a way to access it, you can bring daylighting into your house. Even if you don't have the ability to position your house exactly how we've done here, you can think about your house. Where is that orientation facing south? Where is the shade coming from? Where's the direct sunlight coming from? And then maybe where are there spaces in your house that might feel dark? Sometimes it doesn't actually have to be a large window, maybe a high transom window up high to draw daylight into that room. So it's not necessarily about having a blank slate to optimize daylighting. It's thinking about the specific condition that you have to bring daylight into your house.
And sometimes bringing in natural light requires a little bit of creativity.
In this case, we were working with a house that had a wonderful backyard but had no access to it. So we designed in a whole series of windows to bring the outside in. We did that in a couple ways. One, we raised the window head up high and used transoms to bring light from the sky in. We also lowered the windowsill to bring the foreground directly into the interior. So we almost have a vertical panorama, bringing both sky and garden directly into the inside. What we're about to go up and look at next is a way to manipulate that light, bring the light into the building, but then using other devices to reflect it and drive it further into the center of the space. Sometimes as an architect, you get to design, shape, and orient the building in exactly the way you want. Other times, you're working with an existing building. What we had was a very square building, which gave us an opportunity to put rooms in each corner, but left us with the middle of the building having no access to daylight. So we designed a system to draw light from the outside into the center of the building using a system of skylights, highly reflective acrylic mirrors, and light diffusion panels to then drive the light into the building, refract it around, and then push it through the stained glass that you see here. The space we used for the light shaft was actually just unused attic space, so we didn't even have to give up any floor area of the house to create this light chamber that allowed us to bring the outdoor light directly into the center of the home.
There's also another key benefit to bringing more daylight into your home.
The beauty of natural daylight is it's full spectrum light. So when you're experiencing daylight, you realize you're not standing in light from light bulbs or recessed lights. You're actually standing in light from the sun. The light feels different and it looks different, and your body senses that you actually feel like you may be outdoors. Natural light, from a quality standpoint, is the highest quality light you can get. Not only does it make things look better, but it also makes you feel better.
Thanks for joining us on New England Living. For more on the show or anything you've seen here today, visit us at cbsboston.com/New England Living and follow us on social media. And don't forget to check out the latest edition of New England Living magazine on newsstands now. I'm Rachel Holt. See you next time on New England Living.